Good morning from Stefan here in Hawaii, but otherwise it's probably going to be good afternoon wherever you are in the rest of the country. It is delightful because it's Friday and it's our fireside chat again today. Thank you for joining us. We have with us today a good friend, Lennox Scott. Lennox, I believe you're all the way from Seattle today.
I am, and thank you for the invitation to join you and Kelly.
Oh, it is fantastic. And Kelly, you're standing in for Jack today because Jack's taking his kids on a well-deserved break for summer holiday. He said the kids were driving him crazy, but you're also in Austin. And how are you today, Kelly?
I'm great. Yes, I'm in Austin. And, you know, the topic of the day is all of our bars are being shut down today. So there's a lot of conversation going on about the bars being closed. So
we're to the bars being shut down in Texas today. Okay.
Yeah, interesting times.
All righty. Well, let me just say a few words about Lennox. I don't know how long I've known Lennox, but Lennox, I think it's probably been, 2 decades? Probably about 20 years, I think, roughly.
You bet.
And I've had the privilege to speak at his convention, I think twice, if I remember correctly, over the last decade or so. And those of you that don't know, Lennox is, if I correctly remember, a third generation managing the family business started by his great-grandfather. And I remember very well when you had your 75th company anniversary. I think it's now 79. Is that right? 79?
Well, we're up to 89 now.
89. Sorry, 89. 89, yes. So your company was started the year my mom was born, 1931. So
Wow.
that was before the Depression even. That's a very, very long time ago. So thank you very much for joining us. And today we're just going to do an informal chat. You are probably, I would say, one of the top 3 people in the industry that I have seen as a prudent, avid learner and student of what happens. If there is an important event in the industry, whether it is NAR or a leadership event or the summit or Inman or Stephen Murray's event, I've seen you there and you're usually in the front row. You've got a notebook and you take copious notes. So I think that you really have a good grasp of what's happening in the industry. Do you enjoy research and stats and numbers?
Well, I sure do. I probably read 6 newsletters a day. I do go to the conferences. I get executive book summary on CD. I get a couple books a month for that. But part of this is just the whole concept. We have a phrase we call good to great and then great to greatness. And greatness is always walking in the conversation of excellence. And you just need to keep feeding yourself positive energy. And so that's keeping the conversation alive to keep you up at that high level so you can anticipate future trends, affirm what you're doing now, get grounded, and just be thankful and move forward.
Walking into the conversation of excellence.
Yes.
That's a nice sentence. I love that. Well, your company is very large, if I remember correctly, because Michelle on our side participated significantly in helping us put the Mega 1000 together, which is part of the Real Estate Almanac. And you did 14 billion approximately. That's about the number annually?
Yes, we did 33,000 transactions. And I just want to give a shout out to our whole team, all of our agents, our support team, office leaders, and our service center. Where it's just all the positive energy we bring together that sets up this high performance environment.
So very, very, very solid numbers. So you said you were in Seattle, and we know that Seattle is allegedly one of those towns where the virus came first or broke out, or we heard about it, and there was some boats and everything. So did Seattle shut down? Is your real estate company shut down, or what's happened since?
Well, it started March 26th. We were going 100% compared to year 2019 up until March 26th. That's when we had the stay home, stay safe. We couldn't do any real estate except for 2.5 days later, our Washington realtors working with the governor's office allowed for private showings. So we've been making our way back up since then. We went to 50% of business starting in early April to where now we're at over 100% of homes going under contract the last 3 weeks compared to a year ago. It's only the listings, the sellers not bringing their homes on in the normal sequence, and we're off 20 to 30% with sellers bringing their homes on the market.
I just have to reinstate that, or just restate that. I mean, guys, can you just listen to the numbers? We're 100% of last year, roughly same time, same stores, same market. We heard a similar message not too long ago from people like Sherry Chris said something similar. Gina Blafari said something similar. And here we are in the middle of one of the worst pandemics ever, stay-at-home orders. We have the Floyd situation, which we'll talk about shortly. We have a complex year just in the fact that it's an election year. We have an uncertain stock market. And here the real estate market is just saying, go guys, we can do this. We can do this. We're the same as last year, 100%.
You bet. And we're just thankful that we have historically low interest rates, because that's really bringing the buyers forward. But I know you and Kelly and all of us, we just put our heart out to those that were families directly affected from COVID-19, those that have gone through wellness, but also those that have lost their jobs and are unemployed right now. We know the economy will start to come back, as it already is. But this is a moment in time, and I know their loved ones gather around them, the community, places of faith, while people are going through this tough time in transition and employment. So our hearts out to them, and we have offices doing food drives. We know individuals are involved in the community, and we're all doing our part to help one another.
You're doing very well. Kelly and I was just talking just before you jumped on the call. We were talking about some of the good stuff you're doing. And Kelly, you said that you had some questions for Lennox about the charity stuff they do.
I did. So, Lennox, one of the things that I have discovered in working a little bit with your team is they really embody this notion of living life as a contribution. And I've really noticed how strong the culture is that you've built in your company. And so I was just curious, how has that shown up for you? How have you been able to utilize that and organize and, add value to your agents and your community? And how are you doing that?
Well, thanks for the question, Kelly. So this came out of our John L. Scott Foundation, just the phrase and our core value. We actually put it together, living life as a contribution. It's a federally registered trademark, but it came out of the work we're doing in our foundation. What we do is each agent and support team member gives money into our foundation, and we keep it in 19 different buckets for wherever they are to support the local children's hospital, children's healthcare events. So we help sponsor events on a local basis.
Wow.
That invite the public. First of all, it keeps the conversation alive for the need for uncompensated care and for other children's healthcare items, but also we use it as a fundraiser to invite the public to donate more money in. So we really parlay the money up. And this last year, we helped raise $18 million for these 19 children's hospitals.
That's incredible.
In the states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and now we're into California.
Did you say 18 million just in the year?
Yes. Every year we do, we help sponsor 30 events. So we bring in our financial resources, our volunteer time, and just when good brands come together, it creates certainty for the public that that's worthwhile. And all of us want to give in society. Everybody does. And they just want an invitation from somebody they know or a project that they can attract to. And so that's a big part of this also is being that voice and keeping the conversation alive around uncompensated care items to help so everybody has great health care.
That's incredible. That's such a big, and I'm just so curious too, so I know that is very powerful, living a contribution, life of contribution to you. How do you get your people to align with your core values in such a strong manner and really live and breathe that, which I see you doing in your organization? It's amazing.
Right. Well, our phrase used to be living life with purpose and passion, but then it became bigger than that. And this is our core value. So by experientially having the project of where we serve dinners at Ronald McDonald dinners at houses every other week and several different locations. We do over 50 dinners a year.
Wow.
It's experientially being a contribution and acknowledging it, being with it. It's on every wall in every office, living life as a contribution. And then we, of course, approach our business that way with our clients, our buyers, our sellers, those in our database, being a contribution to them. That's our approach in business, of being the best we can be and providing that great service to them.
Yeah.
And support to our teammates. And then we take it home with family and friends, community, and place of faith.
And that attracts a certain kind of person when you're that specific and everyone's living it and it's everywhere. You start to attract that to you, those kinds of people that it resonates with.
You bet. We do a lot of transactions, and transactional excellence is what we do within our business, but our higher purpose as a company, this positive environment for self-expression, is living life as a contribution.
I love that.
I reached out to you a while ago because with all of these protests and unfortunately in some cases riots we've had, which are in many cases justified, and we understand the struggles and the pain. But you said that sometimes people want to do something, they need something to step up to.
Yes.
I was reaching out to you to say, what do we do as an industry? How do we do something better in real estate so we can make real estate a better place for all race groups?
Well, the George Floyd death was just horrific. And we shouldn't let that moment go by. Let's make it another demarcation point to make a huge leap forward in advancements towards equality. And that's what we all need to get into the conversation and keep that alive. So NAR put out that fabulous video on getting rid of bias for fair housing. That's something all of us should watch. Our executive team did. Our support team is watching. Every person in our support team is watching that video. Of course, our broker associates, because we need to go through renewal of spirit and set a foundation then to move forward on. So while society is making the changes, the government is on the immediate changes that need to be made, there's long-term solutions also need to come in. And while none of us, I don't look at skin color as a determining factor of who somebody is, or religion, or ancestry, or sexual orientation, or language, or hair color, which I have none of, but hair color. We don't look at it that way, but at the same time, we need to get focused on ending racism and bias in our nation, and helping the Black community, with healthcare, education, with jobs and advancement, and find long-term solutions that will lead to equality.
We absolutely have to find those solutions. And I was born and lived in two countries in Africa for a total of over 30 years in two different places. And I don't know, it is a struggle which we seem to all want to contribute towards, but collectively we haven't done enough yet. We just have to do more. And as you said, we can't give up. We can't stop. We have to do something. We have to do something.
Yep. And so I'm sharing the NAR video with CEOs in different industries. I just sent a message that said, this relates a little bit to real estate, but applies to all of us. I'm sending it to pastors. I'm sending it to other influencers within the industry that may not have gotten the video. Again, just to elevate up the conversation so we can get in discussions on long-term solutions, because things have got to change to have long-term solutions while we take care of things in the interim.
Well, if you're up for it, I've been working on trying to put a proposal together where we can maybe rally together behind something hopefully purposeful and meaningful.
Yes.
And I've got it just about all documented. And I would like to send you an executive summary in the next week or two if you're open to giving it a read over and telling me how we can possibly roll something like this out nationally to make a difference.
That's where it starts. And thank you for Stefan. You're upping the conversation. You're moving the conversation forward.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of energy goes into that, but that allows for the next steps to go forward.
Yep. Kelly was just saying just now, she started to send us by saying she's been working with some of your guys. I know that you know that, but Kelly is head of our talent recruiting, executive recruiting, and she has been helping build your team. Your team has been growing And, despite the fact that you're approaching 90 years old as a business, one cannot say that John L. Scott is standing still by any stretch. And your leadership has reached out to Kelly a few times and said, we are growing and we have a few opportunities for leadership positions. And Kelly has reported back to me that she says she likes the John L. Scott team. They're really progressive bunch of people. They know what they want. They know where they're going. Congratulations on the growth.
Well,
absolutely. Your team's really incredible. They're coherent as a team, which I found so interesting because I've had the opportunity to talk with many of them, and their narrative about the company and the organization and the culture and what you're doing is very similar, which you don't always find within organizations. I've also been really impressed with, during this period of time, I think it started out in your market that real estate brokers were non-essential workers right off the bat. And then you had that change, and then you've had multiple different changes. And in working with your team, I just noticed how quickly they get the information and then they act with it. And they act in a way that's not hair on fire, if you know what I'm saying. So it's refreshing because they're strategic and they're moving forward and they're having conversations, but the action hasn't stopped. And one of the things I was curious about with is how are you communicating your messages to the field so that people are acting with the right information as quickly as they are, and all of that, because that can't be an easy feat either.
Well, during these times, we've just like the Great Recession of the 80s and of 2006 or 7, 8, 9, we have weekly leadership meetings. Of course, now we're doing them by Zoom. Whenever we get into these major shifts in the market of what's taking place, we huddle up on a weekly basis, and then we get the videos done because communication is 10 times better by video. Then we send the materials that they would need for signage materials or social media, boost ads, getting to their database. We have all those materials done. I did videos that our broker associates could send to their database early on in April of what was taking place, and then subsequent updates. So it's Elvis Presley had a great saying. Actually, if you can Google it, it's taking care of business in a flash. And that TCB with a lightning bolt through it. That was on the back of his airplane. And I asked to Graceland, what does that stand for? Taking care of business in a flash. So we
didn't notice
that phrase internally, because timing is everything. Being out in front of this, anticipating. We know in the future here, we're going to have open houses again. Well, there's different steps. You have private showings where we're getting 100% of homes under contract like last year, or you have open for viewing, one client group at a time, or you have metered open houses, or you have the full-blown open houses. So we're already having those discussions. For public sentiment comes into this, social distancing for the seller, for our buyers, they don't want to be around other people, and for our agents, they want social distancing. And
absolutely.
So just because you can do something doesn't mean you run before you walk, and you work with the public for the comfort level, because right now we're getting a little backdraft nationwide on unraveling the economy, and we just don't want to be stepping back as an industry. We want to have good social distancing so we can keep moving forward.
I must say, I wasn't expecting an Elvis quote this morning.
I know.
Maybe I should have, because Lennox is one of the coolest sports ever. Every year that I've known him, he dresses up as some famous singer, well-known singer.
Oh, gosh.
And his team actually do a music video. And he comes up, and I'm trying to think back. I think you've done Elvis, you've done Freddie Mercury, you did Queen recently. I think you did Rolling Stones. And then you would sing a song, a well-known song, like a rock song. And then he would maybe do, I don't know, the first 30, 60 seconds. And then it would cut to the different members of his team in different places. And they would all be singing chorus or something else. And how long have you been doing that, Lennox?
Well, it seems like about 25 years. It kicks off our convention. I used to do it live with 8 dancers on the stage and everything else, but then it got to be too much with doing my presentations. So we shifted over to music video. So Emmanuel Fonte, one of our vice presidents, he redoes the words for our languaging as a company, and according to that tune. And it's just a joy in what we're doing. I was Elton John last year, and we just, it kicks it off, and that's what people remember.
Yeah, absolutely. You send them to me, even if I'm not at your event every year, you send them to me, and they're not as much hilarious as they are endearing when you know the people, because you can relate to the people, and you of course know the song. And as you said, the words are tweaked to be industry specific, so they're very memorable, very memorable.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So how do we solve this seller's problem if we have sellers which either want too much for their real estate or they're holding on? Or do you think the market's going to improve with more sellers coming on market during Q3, Q4?
Well, so right now, during this time of the year, we usually get 30% more homes coming on the market, new resale listings, than homes going under contract. Right now, the sellers are down 20 to 30%. And so we have just-in-time listings to keep our sales activity at the same level as a year ago. We're virtually sold out. 8% of homes never sell because they, unfortunately, the seller doesn't have the resources to lower the price, adjust the price, or improve the property to get the price. So we're virtually sold out. The cupboards are bare. We're getting 4 times the demand, it feels like, for each new listing. The sales activity intensity, that's a John L. Scott term, of homes going under contract the first 30 days, we're at a frenzy market for each of those new listings coming on, just like we were for the last 5 years. So it's just as hot, but it's different because of the coronavirus as a backdrop, social distancing, private showings. But these historic low rates are bringing the buyers forward because there's an extra 10% in purchase power when the rates went down.
So if the builder's not building enough, the sellers are holding on, the intensity is high, there's lots of buyers, are the prices clicking up? Are the prices?
Definitely there's price support for premium pricing. In a normal market, you have market price, but when you get multiple offer, everything that we're in right now, you get premium pricing 10 to 15% above market. So when our market adjusted a little bit in year 2018, because prices went up 15% and interest rates went up a point, so there's a 25% hit to affordability, the market rolled over and premium pricing came off immediately 10% because we didn't have the price support for that. Well, we're back to premium pricing again in what we're seeing. Let me just jump in on this regarding sellers. 2 reasons why sellers aren't bringing their home on the market. One is their own personal safety, and the other one is the travel restrictions. For personal safety, what we've done there is we've adjusted our business practices to support social distancing for the seller. We're limiting the number of days a home is open. Sellers don't want people in the house every day. So we're limiting it down to Saturday and Sunday. So when people can get in, maybe the seller goes away for the evening and then we do a major scrub down on Sunday of that sort of thing. So we're making those adjustments. And I know when the unraveling of the travel restrictions come, I think we'll get a 10% boost in number of listings and movement around the nation because it's the movement's been lowered down. We're starting to see more buyers coming in from out of area just because of the some of the restrictions being relaxed a little bit, and that will continue. But the sellers also need to feel like I'm okay, I'm safe, good social distancing, and now I can go to my next destination and bring their home on because we're sold out. And where it's really going to show up is this fall, because normally in the fall and winter, we have more homes going under contract than new listings because we have a backlog of inventory. Well, in the more affordable mid and into the upper end, where 80% of the sales take place, we're sold out this year. And I don't know if we can build up enough inventory to take us through the winter time. So that's where I think you're going to see the real crunch is in October, November, December, January, and heading into February.
You think on an annual basis, we might actually be able to reach last year's levels? We'll be able to catch up the slight drop we had in April, May?
Well, I don't know because I don't think there's enough listings coming on to be able to allow that because we've been eating away at the unsold inventory to now to be virtually sold out, and there's still more homes going under contract than new listings right now. It's not in the fall. So that's going to could start to affect things where homes going under contract might go down to 90% because what you see is what you get for new listings coming up. So we're really focused in on communication with our relationship database, because that's where 80% of the listings come from. So that's our number one major focus item as a company, is our relationship database, keeping engaged with them. And it's more clear now than ever before about how valuable each individual agent's relationship database is. The names belong to them. It's broker branded, agent branded to them, and nothing gets sent out unless they click on for something to get sent out. So that's how we've helped our agents elevate their business in this market.
I like some of your sayings. The cupboard is bare. It's so obvious, but it's such a practical way to bring it together. The cupboard is bare. And of course, one which we've heard many times, but I still like it. What you see is what you get, right? There's no other listings anymore. What you see, the cupboard is bare. There's not a lot to show you, but what's there, you better take it, because I ain't got a lot else to offer you.
Yeah, we really shifted from a quick action market to an instant response market. So of course, buyers need to be buyer ready day one, fully, not just pre-approved, but fully underwritten, so they can compete with the all cash, or get themselves as all cash and then refinance out after closing, because it's that competitive for multiple offers. Even in a private showing situation, we're at these multiple offer levels because we had such job growth over the last 7 years. The apartments are full. The opportunities there with the historic low rates. First-time buyers are stepping in big numbers, as well as those that do put their home on the market. Most of them are also buyers at the same time.
When you say that you concentrate, I like the idea of concentrating these open house opportunities for predominantly 1 or 2 days, maybe the weekend, maybe trying to keep the people their privacy for the week. So that's awesome. What kind of task do your agents do when you scrub down or prepare or clean after a showing? What do they actually do? What's the physical task?
Well, going into the house, we have the visitor registration forms, so we can ask the wellness questions, not only of the buyers, but also the buyer's agent. And then, of course, our agents do the same thing, because it's social distancing for each and every person. You might have the face mask, you have the gloves, you have the sanitizer. After you ask the seller to open up the doors, turn on the lights about the closets so people don't have to touch things. And then you go back through afterwards with the big scrub down on the counters, doorknobs, things like that that would be touched for it. So in getting ready for this weekend for these showings, we're now launching maybe on a Wednesday or Thursday, but no showings until those days that the seller says the home can be available for showing. And we're using showing time on this, but we're now doing virtual live open houses. So we launch on a Thursday, do virtual live open house on a Friday, and Facebook Live. People can see it afterwards, and they can send the link back out to them, but we promote that. So we're getting better market exposure than ever before with the virtual live open houses. And it's a win-win, 100% win for the seller, 100% win for our listing broker to listing agent to get a more powerful market presence at the same time.
And this is a best practice which you can keep on doing afterwards.
Right.
Oh, you bet. Even when we can do open houses, the virtual live open house is a whole level up in exposure for sellers than just the internet. It's a different way of communicating and attracting buyers in the market, affirms to them, and we can get back to our database that we're in motion, and then we go to the open public to attract unattached buyers.
We're starting to work on the 2021 trends report, and our executive editor, Paul Haggie, and I just had a long conference call a day or so ago, brainstorming some of the potential topics that we should cover. And I think I'm going to ask him to maybe reach out to you, Lennox, because I think this whole idea, which I just jotted down here, the virtual open houses might be one of those best practices which we can carry over and share with the industry and say everybody should be doing that nationwide.
Definitely. And we call it everything video live now. It's the new era of real estate. We had the internet, we had smartphones, and now it's everything video live. It's now in practice. Even though millennials were doing it or on FaceTime on Apple, it's now available for everyone. And what I mean by that is personal video interaction with your clients, or new people you meet. You can do that appointment because it raises up the connectivity with that individual and the relativeness. And that's like, you know, tenfold over an email or text, and fivefold over a phone call. Yes, in person obviously is number one, but we can't be everywhere all the time. So that video interaction. The second place is the bomb videos. One of the greatest tools in the history of real estate to be in for connectivity to your relationship database, social media, boost ads and everything on the real estate moment, on the market updates. And then you have the everything video, the video live open houses. So there's many components to this whole concept of, I think this is one of the three great movements in the real estate industry for technology, marketing, information, relativeness, because everything has always been about supporting the relationship. The internet was, smartphones, email, you know, all that was to support the relationship. This is another one of those items, huge advancement. And we're really pushing this forward as a company.
Some of the changes that you and I have spoken about for many, many years, this seems that COVID has really actually been a benefit in that regard to the industry, because it's actually forced us to take the technology which we had, which was available. COVID didn't create these tools. They were there. We just didn't use them well enough or effectively enough. And now we've been forced to use them better. And now that we're using it better, we've actually found a way to give the customer a better experience and more of it so than ever before.
And activity too with the videos. It's so much more leverage than face-to-face. So it's more connectivity, it's more leveraged. And now you have people that are used to using it and they're buying into it. So it just makes it such a powerful practice to keep doing, it seems like.
Oh, it sure is. And, you know, just what you're saying is the new era of real estate. We call it the big push for implementation, like never, ever before. Because we've had these programs for 7 years, 10 years, but they weren't being put into practice. But now we have greater clarity. We've gone through renewal of spirit. We really have focused in on where the business is really coming from. 80% of listings, 50 to 60% of buyers is relationship database. We have these tools now to be in better relationship with local information, personal relativeness and connectivity with people than ever before. So very exciting time in the real estate industry while we go through the challenges that that's in front of us.
We researched about 2-3 years ago and wrote it in one of our trends reports. I don't remember which one, 2 years ago, something like that. That renewals and new business models tend to happen in cycles. We call them stages, but they happen cyclical. And we said that many times when something suddenly happens, everybody says this is new. We go like, no, it's been around for 5 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years. There's now just been a motivation or a reason or a trigger, whether it's an injection of capital or a 9/11 or a Katrina or a COVID. There was some reason that it suddenly just popped. Because, you know, you look at EXP or you look at Redfin or you look at those companies, Compass, they weren't born yesterday, right? They've also been around 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
That's
so
right.
It sometimes takes time for an idea to mature and to actually find its place. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'd like to just share just a concept I think everybody would
Go for it.
might be able to take a look at. So our approach to business. We have an executive leadership team, and I had a great coach, Dick Gillespie, for 20 years. And he brought in some principles out of IBM because he was doing consulting in there. One of them is he calls vital few. We as a team have 2 vital few. Each of our departments have their own vital few, but it's only 1 or 2 items that is so significant to move things forward or that really drives your revenues. In real estate, of course, it's everyone productive on the team and selective recruiting. And then we add a major focus item of relationship database, everyone. So that's our vital few. There's a lot of important many's, but how we back up this vital few is we have a strategy meeting, an executive team strategy meeting on each of these vital few each month. Separately, we have an industry strategy meeting on trends, so that we can anticipate these trends that you're talking about, or what is the big situation right now? What are we going to do about it? type of deal. And sometimes we write it down, stick it up on the wall, and then I turn my legal pad sideways, say, what are we going to do about it? And I'm taking notes from everybody else, because that's how we collaborate as a team. We get together, we bring all the ideas in, and then we simplify things and for implementation. So it's just a great concept. The other deal is on positive mindset. It's that really carries the day. I've gone through so many personal achievement seminars, Pacific Institute, Landmark Education, just pursuit of excellence, all of these. But also there's books out there, and I've read a lot of books, that out there. And I just want to share. There's one my wife wrote called "Speaking the Language of Miracles," and it's all about walking in the positive outcome, walking in excellence, personal affirmations. Feed yourself positive energy every day. And the big item in this book is the situation is not who you are. It's just a situation. Let's approach it with power. And if we want to take it on, and sometimes we need to get help, we make adjustments as we go through it, and keep the conversation alive. That's another item my coach shared with us. It's the frequency of focus to keep the conversation alive. Otherwise, the conversation disappears with that. And so that's why we have the strategy meetings every month on our 2 Vital Few, or they will disappear. And this is what drives our revenues. And we have to be efficient. We have to be productive to make money in the real estate industry, because the game's changed over the years. So if we're going to give this much support, everyone productive, and then we continually seek out new team members.
You are just full of giveaways here today. This is overload stuff. But I see one of the questions which just popped in from Denise. She says, could you please tell me again the name of the book of your wife? Could you give us the name of the book so we could give it up here?
Yes, it's called Speaking the Language of Miracles by Deanna Scott, D-E-A-N-N-A, Deanna Scott. And so all of our leadership teams read the book, everybody in the company. We give it out to children's hospitals because it starts out around healthcare, but then it has chapters on all the areas of your life. It's just it's a game changer type book for positive mindset.
Chris, I know you're still on the call here, but if you're still listening and you captured that, there he is. He's already, look at him. He's
look at him.
Excellent. Good job, Chris. Thank you very, very much. So Kelly, I think you also got some takeaways. I know that I've been talking to you with regard to expanding some of your tasks and responsibility in the company and doing some things for us. So Lennox covers a lot of stuff here. I need you to focus on the vital few and not on the important many, right? There's some extra takeaways for you to do that. Absolutely delightful. The amount of good, meaningful takeaways and wisdom. No wonder that you read and listen to so many books and attend so many events, because you actually turn your pad sideways and actually take notes. You actually take notes. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Give us. I know we can't see the future, and you've said that, I've said that, but give us your view. What do you think is going to happen to the real estate market next year if we are possibly post the election? We're hopefully possibly post COVID. We don't have a second wave, and at least the troubles of the current Floyd has died down. We're hopefully implementing something meaningful towards going somewhere. How does 2021 look like, do you think?
Well, the election will either go this way or it'll go that way. So no matter what, that's whatever it is. And hopefully it's a divided Congress because then they check and balance each other. But what's exciting is what Chairman Powell says on the Fed Reserve, keeping rates low for longer to regenerate the economy and move forward. So we have some great years ahead in real estate. And so it's just an exciting time. So our job right now is to help each of our broker associates. We have an internal campaign called Be Out in Front. Be out in front of the competition, the iBuyer companies, the discount companies, the media companies, the national portals. And it's all about relationship with their individuals in their relationship database. So that's what our focus is.
Yeah, wow. Kelly, your closing thoughts, or maybe a last question to Lennox on your side?
Yeah, I was curious along the lines of the virtual showings and limiting sort of the days of showings. What other practices do you think are going to stick with us, or do you predict any other new practices that you could foresee that will be come from a result of what we're currently doing now?
Well, definitely, the three big ones are the relationship database, the everything video live. That's going to continue forever to support the relationships and to attract more people. The actual implementation of social media with great content and also boosting up onto Facebook and Instagram and maybe LinkedIn. That, even though that's been around, very few people implement it. We're really driving implementation with those programs right now. The other item out there, what else do we see coming forward? Each individual property, we know that's where the whole industry is going. And so that's coming up. I call it the push button transaction process. We're down to a 10-day process now of the process. They'll close whenever they want to close, but I gave a speech back in 2006 as the NAR technology liaison, and my talk then was the push button transaction process in 5 days. So we're down to 10 right now. Our vendors, we've been working with them to drive it down, and from 21 or 35 or whatever it used to be. But I see it getting down to 5-day transaction process. The virtual. The national exposure for each listing now because of the virtual live. Once they have a relationship, being able to trust that local broker with the video that's now available, not just photos, but the walkthrough and the conversation online is just going to totally explode. I know we're heading towards residential investor nation because of the new technologies available that people around the nation can buy at the second. So these are just some of the trends I see coming forward.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
For those of us that have been in the industry for 40 years or something in that regard, we've always seen change, right, Lennox? I mean, there's always been change, there's always been innovation, there's always been something new, but there is that sense, I think, that you feel, and I know that I feel, that it's happening maybe a little faster. It's maybe re-engineering larger pieces of the industry and not just little small pieces on the periphery. It's maybe fundamentally redesigning what it is to be a real estate professional, right, what it is to be a home advisor for the customer of tomorrow. Because, in some cases, the realtor or the agent or the broker of today, we've all adapted technology, but we're still very similar to what our parents were, maybe back in the 70s or the 80s. And I think for the first time, we can really feel that the industry wants to, whether by choice or not by choice, to redesign itself and say, how do we make everything, I don't know, newer, better, faster, hopefully cheaper? Do you think that I know we can't do a commission to structure here, but do you think there's more pressure for commissions maybe to go down as well? Or are we holding tight on that?
Well, there's obviously we have case studies out there in play right now with certain companies with more discounted fees than others. Yes, our clients want personalized service. That's the extra value we bring in. Personalized service, transactional excellence, expert marketing, the networking with other brokers, buyer consultation, getting that deal done. Okay, so while everything is continuing to change, as you mentioned, Stefan, the core remains the same, and that's the trusted relationship with a competent professional. We know these companies want to get out in front of us and be the first one to find out somebody's selling. Well, that's not going to happen because we're going to be out in front with the relationship. Even though they check them out, I don't care about that because our clients want a trusted professional, personal representation.
I have to support that. I have to agree with that. I mean, I have done 2 transactions in the last 5 years with regard to real estate in 2 totally different states. And in both cases, I used an agent. And in both cases, I could not have dreamed of doing that transaction without an agent. As much as there were challenges in the transaction, as much as I know about real estate, as much as I'm not licensed today, but I have been licensed, and my wife is, I could have done it internally. In both cases, we said, we want a local, knowledgeable person to help and guide us. And the percentage points which we had to pay them, we felt was worth it. It the additional knowledge I got was worth the few points. I would not have done it. We're going to wrap up. I'm looking at the questions here, and I see there came one from Bill Wendell, which is probably more, it's a kind of an observation. He says, Lennox, with your company's philanthropic track record in children's health, are you or Stefan familiar with the concept and body of research called housing vaccine? I know I'm not, but I'll definitely look into it. I'm not sure what housing vaccine exactly is in this context, but there might be something you and I can research further and see what that might mean. Concept and body of research. Bill, thank you for bringing it to our attention. We most certainly will look into the value proposition. So I'm going to say on behalf of Kelly and Jack, who's somewhere on vacation in Texas with his boys and his wife, thank you for what you've done for the industry, for your leadership, your wonderful company. Thank you for working with T3 in some cases where we could be of assistance. Congratulations on 89 years of company building record, from a grandfather to a father and to a son. And you're probably getting, is there somebody in your family that might be taking over one day in the future?
Well, yes. My daughter's 25. She's been working for 5 years. She now has her license. She's part of a team. And she's way beyond where I was at her age. And she's got it. And I'm so excited about the future.
So there's going to be a fourth generation of the family continuing the legacy. Well, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your time today. And congratulations. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Lennox.
Bye now.
Bye, Kelly. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.